Flo's here as well, over the other side of the desk. What a surprise. The main story on the top of the papers, FIFA. One of the main whistleblowers that we've been talking about in the news bulletin today, it's all about Chuck Blazer.
Chuck Blazer, he's all over the press today. Why is that? Well, let's take a look at the New York Times. They tell us more. Basically, they got their hands on a testimony that was published by the U.S. Department of Justice, and in 2013, Chuck Blazer admitted to a Brooklyn judge that he had, get ready for it because this is the explosive part, he had taken bribes from bidders seeking to host the 1998 and the 2010 World Cups. It's a fascinating article if you want all the details. Check out the New York Times. They also explain in detail just how he turned on FIFA to become an informant for the FBI.
Okay, and other papers also reporting on this shocking new confession.
That's right. It's on the front page of The Independent today, which takes a closer look at just what he told this judge back in 2013. Here's a quote. He says, "I and others on the FIFA Executive Committee agreed to accept bribes in conjunction with the selection of South Africa." That's the nation that hosted the 2010 World Cup. Now, he also says that he facilitated a bribe in the awarding of the 1998 World Cup. That World Cup was held, of course, here in France. France won. What's not clear is whether it was Morocco or France that actually made the payment. But these are really explosive comments that's more bad news for Sepp Blatter. Sepp Blatter, of course, this week announced that he was resigning from as president of FIFA. Let's go back to The Independent. They have a great cartoon where you can see just how much this FIFA corruption scandal is really affecting him. You can see, well, his head has been completely knocked off this rather fat body of FIFA. The Independent, always great with their cartoons there.
Yeah, a little over the top, but interesting anyway. Now, those allegations, of course, of corruption and bribery, mainly or centred around the 2022 World Cup awarded to Qatar. A lot of people talking about that now.
That's right. Now, a lot of people have been calling for a revote, and there's a very interesting piece in the Daily Beast today that points out that America was the runner-up to host the 2022 World Cup. And according to the Daily Beast, America will be the immediate favorite if ever it's discovered that Qatar did indeed bribe FIFA. You can see here the headline, the U.S. is ready to snatch Qatar's World Cup. Now, this, of course, would be very controversial, and analysts say that it could actually have far-reaching consequences further than football. To quote a football specialist, there are plenty of people in the Middle East that are very proud that Qatar is going to have this World Cup. The idea that it could be taken away and given to the U.S. could start a third intifada.
We can but hope not. Now, let's move on. Something completely different. Turkey. General election scheduled there for June 7th. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is out on the campaign trail, isn't he?
That's right. As you can imagine, this is a huge story in the Turkish press. I pulled out a couple of articles from Hurriyet Daily News. This one is focusing on recent rallies held by Erdogan. He's been holding about one rally a day. Now, recently he lashed out against international media institutions like the New York Times, CNN, and the BBC, saying that they want to weaken the country. And yesterday, he lashed out against journalists, Armenians, and gays, saying they're representatives of sedition. There's a comment piece in Hurriyet Daily News by Ozgir Korkman, who says, this is a pretty long list of enemies for Erdogan. With such a long list of enemies abroad and inside the country, one should actually give credit to Erdogan for the way he's run the country for the past 13 years.
What about foreign papers? What are they saying about the election?
As you can imagine, it depends on which paper you ask. The Wall Street Journal today is pretty critical of Erdogan in their editorial and actually says that Turkish voters have an opportunity to say enough. It hopes that voters will block the AKP's worst ambitions. The Wall Street Journal says that Erdogan has a plan to very much make the country into a one-party run country, a one-man rule, if you will. But if we go to Al Arab, that's a conservative paper in Qatar, they have a very different opinion. They actually give their support to the AKP party. Turkey is at a major crossroads, and this paper hopes that the party will win, despite the fact that it is facing all these coups and conspiracies from abroad.
And finally, the papers are reacting to reforms in the US that will curb the sweeping phone surveillance powers of the National Security Agency.
That's right. We've been reporting about this. This was passed in the Senate on Tuesday, very quickly passed into law. Papers are still reacting to it. The Independent has their editorial on it today. You can see they're talking about a victory for liberty. And let's just end with a cartoon from the New York Times by Shapat. It shows the immediate consequences of this. You can see an NSA agent there saying, "I've been put on hold by Congress."
Excellent. Thank you, Flo. Flo with the papers, Steve with business here on France 24. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to bring you the very latest headlines, of course, and special report as ever coming up in focus. Today we're reporting, in fact, from Copenhagen, just 2 weeks away from Denmark's general election. We're with free speech campaigners just 4 months since 2 people were killed there, of course, in an attack on a free speech debate. That's in about 15 minutes' time.